haven't fixed these properties since the update, so but there we go. Sorry for the bad intro, but here we go. Once again, welcome back to another Strange Bird Gym stream. I'm your host, Strange Bird Gym, as you can tell. And we're going to be getting ourselves back into continuing our setting of the Terraria modding system in the hopes that I can get to a point where I can build a mod for the Terraria community that I feel would be really nice to have. Um, Whether or not I can actually do it, well, we'll see. Um, the the idea that I have is for anybody that's curious, is to try to make some form of like tech tree. Okay, in the sense that um, when you look at a lot of mods or something along those lines, um, when you look at um, a lot of um, the possible weapons and the possible um, items to be made, um, you know, while it's not nearly as bad in vanilla, it can get really bad when you start adding in additional mods. Um, and while I'm not going to be someone that will guarantee that this mod will be able to work for every single last little detail that's going to be out there, um, you know, um, I would like to be able to kind of look at it and go, okay, how can I get this to work with, um, with that at least, vanilla at the very least, um, calamity, um, as the highest possibility. And even then, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to do it. Okay, we're talking about, something that would probably require quite a, for it to be quite dynamic. And I don't know if their base code is going to be able to allow me to do that. I'm not sure. Still have to kind of see whether or not that's going to be possible or not. Now, one of the things that I would probably need to look at to make the um, to make this tech tree possible would be to kind of look at the guide themselves. You know, so let me try to explain a little bit. So let me bring up Terraria here. Um, I've disabled all the, mods that I've had in the playthroughs that we're doing currently with Terraria right at the moment. Okay, so let me go ahead and enable, the one mod that I've been kind of messing with, with the tutorials and my own personal modding and stuff like that. Eventually I'll delete it and be done with it, but for right now, we're just kind of using it as a test bed, as a place to kind of just um, look at the examples, the easy guides, and stuff like that to try to use to understand what I'm going to be looking at, what I'm going to be working on, and how to go about doing it. So um, now, um, now when I look, when I go and talk with the guide over here, and I go to his crafting, I can basically put in some materials in there, and I can see a full listing of what, you know, can be possible, right? Um, you know, and I can basically do this for whatever material I want on there. Now, obviously, some will be, very few items can be made overall, and some items, you know, could be, few, or it could be, um, you know, could be quite a bit. Now, granted, I'm only looking at the vanilla, per se in this, right? So, um, I haven't really done, very much here. Um, Here we go. Wood, right? If we go over here and talk with our guide here and say, okay, what all, can I make with the wood? And well, there's a lot. Okay. Um, and the thing is that a lot of these items are materials for other items. Okay. Weapons that can be made into, more advanced weapons later on. Um, so, um, so there's going to be quite, you know, if I'm going to be doing something that will be basically looking at the guide's crafting here and showing me, everything that I might have made already and, kind of give me an idea as to, what, I can make, what can be made next, or maybe not so much, what can be made next, but it maybe showing um, hey, out of this particular material that you're putting in um, on the tree, um, we're going to show, um, it shows everything that you know has the possibility of being made. But the flip side of it is that I'm gonna want to have something that will kind of do it in reverse as well. Show everything that kind of came before it, you know. So, um, so for example, um, like if I talk with him and I go, hey, I want to know, what I needed to use to make this copper axe, for example, then, I would have liked to have known, well, in order to make that copper axe, I would have needed, some copper bars and some wood or something like that. Some form of trace line to get to that, particular item as well. Um, you know, this copper axe has already been, well, technically it was kind of given to me, so it wasn't necessarily, it was a free item that you get whenever you come into the game, right? Or, when you first enter the game, it's one of the first free items that you get. Um, but I still want to kind of be able to see not only things that I can make potentially in the future, although it'd be more along the lines of I want to be able to see, um, I want to be able to see um, only well, maybe not necessarily the next items, but kind of show that there's a lot of items for, for that particular item to make, right? You know, so, um, so for example, um, so when I talk with the guide here, I put down the wood, obviously, you know, it will show me like, hey, you have a lot of things that you can make, with this piece of wood. Now on the tech tree, it'll basically kind of hide all of this, or at least that's my plan. Maybe maybe I'll like leave an option for anybody to, basically say, okay, do you want to be able to see it or do you want it to be hidden from you, kind of thing. To kind of say, well, you know, you don't know exactly what it will make unless you actually talk with the guide for it, right? Um, and even then, it's like, you you haven't made it yet. Um, but I want to kind of have its, you know, like a big screen here to kind of go through a full-on tree lineup in my vision to kind of show items that are going to be made in the future versus, items that I've, already made or been made in the past or was given to me or whatever, right? You know, and, basically right in the middle is where I'm currently at, which I mean, if if I'm looking at items that are are basic, like the gels, like you can't create gels, on their own. It's just a resource that uh, you would collect, right? From the slimes. You don't make the gels, right? So um, so that itself would be like on the far left of the spectrum in terms of the construction, right? So you know gels would be at the very beginning kind of thing, and it would show all the possible combinations um, that I can do with the um, um, it would show all the possible combinations, but it won't um, kind of give me a clear idea as to what it can make in the future, kind of thing. Like sure, it'll show that the gel can make up to what is it, 12 items here, but it won't necessarily show that either. So here, um, let me try to explain this a little bit better. Say we go to, um, I'm going to enable the boss checklist because this one is a pretty decent one in terms of what I would kind of see, what I would kind of figure I could probably do for it. Which if I go here and we go to the boss lock, right? It opens up a brand new um, interface that I can use, right? Um, Now, um, I can either enable it so that, it shows everything, um, portraits and names, you know, nothing hidden, everything is, visible and stuff like that. Maybe there's going to be like a slight um like here if I click on it, it'll kind of show like hey, we haven't actually beaten these particular bosses or anything along those lines in terms of the boss list, right? um but you know once you do defeat it, then it will then you can check it off and go, okay, And it'll change its color and it'll show you everything there, right? But um, if I go with progression mode is disabled, you'll notice that, yeah, it kind of shows like you know, um, like the next boss that, could potentially be fought or they recommend to be fought. But it doesn't necessarily show you what, you know, might, you know, uh, it's not going to show me what's next, right? In terms of this particular, um, okay, guys, go away. Um, Now, um, I want to kind of do something similar for the tech tree, in that, um, you know, I go to, you know, well, yes, the crafter will show me everything here. Okay, in the tech tree, it might not show. I can either say like everything here is hidden. Like it'll show me like, hey, you have a list of, what is it, 8 by 10, 15, 17. So that's quite a bit. um, there's over 100 entries here, that, um, is, you know, uh, could either be, visible to the player and they just need to build it to see, what the next item is, especially if it's um, especially if it is indeed a material, or, if you do make it, then it'll be done. It'll fill in that blank, and you're done with it. You know, in the case of like the boss log, where like you fight off the king slime, it'll open up the next boss that you can fight, blah blah blah, and so on and so forth. Or you can, like I said, um, you can show, um, you know all the everything. Just, maybe I will, um, darken it or something like that, so that one could tell what's been built and what hasn't been built. Okay, so, um, yeah, um, that's my mindset for what can be done for the, um, what can be done for the track tree. Am I going to be able to do it? I don't know, because that would require quite a lot of dynamic viewpoints. Not only from the idea that, I would need to show, um, what was, um, you know, uh, what I can make in the future, but also show, what created said material. You know, like that copper copper axe, for example. You know, it would need to be able to kind of, in a sense, reverse engineer, these materials to see if they're, you know, what was the recipe in order to make such an item. And that might be a little difficult to do. I'm not sure if they have that. Um, I'm not quite sure, if they have something simple like that, like pre-built in. Like I might need to, um, Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I would be able to like show that per se. So, so yeah, it'll be a little interesting to try to do that. So, wait, did I just see that right? Hold on. I think I thought I just saw Blackheart startup Stardew Valley for some reason. No, okay. That was weird. Not sure what happened there, but it was like, wait, what? What are you doing there, Steam? He's not doing Stardew Valley. Okay. So, um, let's see. If I remember correctly, we stopped off at the tile. Let me confirm with my notes. I think yeah, mod tile properties. Let's see. And we left off down here with the mod tile properties, dust type, adjacent tiles, and so on and so forth. Now, bear in mind, okay, a lot of this might not necessarily work in my particular case because I'm just going to be doing the user interface. A lot of it won't be completely necessary. Um, you know, when it comes to like, projectiles and stuff like that, it's like I don't necessarily need to worry about that. I don't necessarily need to worry about like, the damages or anything along those lines. I'm just figuring out what can and can't be built. That's it. That's all I'm worried about for this particular mod. I don't necessarily need to go into anything else at this time. Um, so things like, dust type adjacent tiles and stuff like that, probably not going to be very helpful for me. So these are explained in the documentation. You will need to expand on the properties inherited from mod block type section to see inherited properties such as dust type and hit sound, which I do not need to worry about. So add to array, set room needs, used to make a mod tile act like a light source, chair, or table for the purposes of housing. Some examples. Add to array, room needs, count as table, count as door, count as torch, count as chair. So there's that. I wonder um, if I can maybe do something like that um, for the texture in a way. Do like an add to array, um, and kind of show um, all the different possibilities. But I mean, that's going to be uh, we're talking about a very large array if I even tried to do something along those lines. And um, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull that one off. Um, and even then, um, it would be quite a mess to try to um, figure out, the back and forth I feel on that. Figure out like uh, you know, what I'm most concerned about right now is, like the guide shows what you can, make from that one material. That's fine. We can use that. We can kind of show, you know, everything that we can kind of potentially do in the future. My concern, though, is being able to see what was in the past. So, for example, like I look at the Zenith, for example, not necessarily a material weapon or anything along those lines, but let's just kind of use that as a really bad example of like a material sword. We can use it to build some other sword later on in the future, right? Or something like that, right? Um, so we make it a material and we use it to make other swords in the future, right? But we can then you know the idea for the tech tree would be able to not only see what the Zenith sword can be made into, but what was used to make the Zenith sword, and the the roots of that particular tree that led up to the Zenith. So what weapons did we use to construct the Zenith? How were those weapons made? And so on and so forth until we get to like the very starting resources. Okay. And I need to basically do this for pretty much every single last um um you know I need to basically do this for every single last one of the weapons, but all the um for every single construction that I could do, weapons, furniture, construction items, whatever, you know, equipables. I just want to make sure that we can see in the future and what we can see what we've already used in order to make said item. So that's all. And that backwards compatibility, I feel, is going to be probably the worst one, the worst problem that I'm probably going to be facing in this particular build. Okay, but it's also the most important too, because um, that's like I can always see what an item can be made into. I can just go to the guide for that, right? So, that in and of itself isn't really that important per se, unless it's already been made, right? Like I put I put an item um, into the tech tree to scan, what they can make. And if I've already used it to make, another weapon line, then I need to kind of show that weapon line, already been constructed or already been made. So, so I won't look at it and go, have I made this item before? Because then I'll just show, yeah, I did. I've already made, that particular weapon that has made this other weapon that has made this other weapon, that kind of thing. Then I can ignore that particular branch, right? Um, Now this is going to be a mess, right? Because um, you're talking a lot of you're talking a lot of branches, and you're talking a lot of roots that I need to address. And but my main concern is trying to get those roots um, you know, those roots are my major focal point for wanting to do this mod. You know, understanding what, like I put one of my old weapons into this tech tree and go, oh, okay. So in order to, and um, this is what I need to build the weapon that I currently hold. You know, and if I need to construct it again, I just need these resources. Bam, done. Let's go and build it, right? Um, that kind of idea. Um, but it might take a while to construct something like that. So that's why I'm a little, that's why I want to try to study this as much as I can to get ideas as to what I can use. So now, um, once I start making it, then I'll probably be asking for some help. I'll probably be asking, does anybody have ideas that I can use to try to, consider constructing this? You know, because I feel like I'm probably gonna have some hangups from time to time. So I'm probably gonna be asking for some um, some support along those lines, or you know, at least that's the idea. But um, so there. Okay, so add map entries to setting the color and optional text associated with the tile when viewed on the map. Explore example mod examples and the documentation for more info. We don't necessarily need to worry about that, so we're going to ignore that for the most part. Tile object data or frame important multi-tiles. If a mod tile is not a frame tile, it must have main tile frame important type is equal to true, and the tile object data in the set static defaults. Frame important tiles can have any size from 1 by 1 to anything bigger. They can also have many different styles. Each style can also have alternates, which are alternate placements of the particular style. For this guide, many GIFs will refer to this tile sprite. Multiple styles. You can take advantage of tile styles to simplify your code and avoid code repetition. Using this, you can have one mod tile that places several styles. Each each item that places this tile will have the same item that create tile, but will have different item place place style to differentiate which style to place. The default to placeable tile method will set all the required properties for the tile placing item and will assign create tile and place style as well. Tile tile style specific code can be added to various mod tile methods as well as customize the behavior of specific tile styles. Example torch.cs, for example, has different liquid placement properties like color and hover icon for the two styles of the tile. See style horizontal, style multiplier, and style wrap limit below for more information on how tile styles are organized in the spreadsheet. Okay. Now I might be needing to use this a little bit in that, I still might need to show the items that I'm going to be grabbing a hold of to show on the tech tree. Okay. And again, I need to make sure that it's dynamic enough. I need to be able to get the information for that particular um, you know multi-tile to be able to show on the tech tree and um, and then kind of be able to branch out to all the other multi-tiles, right? So yeah, still might need this. Basic tile object data dot new tile structure. In set static defaults, we use tile object data dot new tile to define properties of our tile. There are a few approaches to doing this. We can copy from the tile object data template, copy tile object data from an existing tile, or create an tile object data from scratch. Copying from a template or an existing tile can greatly simplify code and is suitable for inheriting common furniture settings. For example, copying from style 2x2 creates a typical 2x2 tile that can be placed on the ground and is immune to lava. Okay. Yeah, Jake, welcome back to the stream. How's your day been? Sometimes, however, we might inherit unexpected behaviors. For example, style 4x2 creates a 4x2 tile, but that tile is set up to have left and right placements. This is useful for beds, but might not be what is expected. Um, Sorry, I was on stream last night, but couldn't chat because I was on my Switch. Don't sweat it there, Jake. Don't sweat it. You know, as long as you were having a good time, it's all good. So, using copy from can be convenient for common furniture types, but sometimes it's easier to just make the tile object data directly. This is especially true for tiles with dimensions not represented in the existing templates. For existing templates might have behaviors that are unexpected, such as lava immunity or left and right placements, so doing it directly ensures that the tile behaves exactly as intended. These approaches are explored more in the sections below. Basic structure for setting up a tile object data is as follows. So use tile object data dot new tile dot copy from if desired. Adjust settings on tile object data dot new tile. Adjust settings for tile object data dot new alternative if needed. Explain later. Adjust settings on tile object data new subtile if needed. Explain later. Uh, Tile object data dot add tile type. So I don't really see a need for doing this in particular for um, the tech tree because I'm not going to necessarily need to create a new tile. You know, I'm just going to be kind of referencing information about certain tiles, but I won't be kind of creating a new tile, if you get what I'm saying. Um, for example, um, if I put like a piece of wood into the tech tree, right, to show everything that the piece of wood can make from it, I'm not generating um, the items that the wood can make like right then and there. I just want to show um, the 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 information of that particular item that it can potentially make that the wood can make, right? So I don't necessarily want to be like oh put a piece of wood there. I look at the I look at the workbench, and suddenly I can like pull that workbench out of the um, I can pull that workbench out of the tech tree to use. No, I don't want that to happen. I don't want any kind of crafting to be possible in the tech tree. It shouldn't be possible. I really don't want that to happen. Um, so, um, I mean, I guess someone could probably try to use the tech tree with a combination of like the calamity mod to try to um, make it potentially usable as in a crafting sense, but um, that's not the main purpose that I have for this particular mod. So, um, like I could see the potential of someone taking the tech tree and going, okay, I need to make this particular weapon again, so I'm going to be going to the tech tree with a connection to my storage and start um, making items like right then and there. Making the necessary ingredients and parts and stuff like that you know to make them more advanced weapons and stuff like that. Um, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to um, make that as a um, I don't necessarily want that to be the main objective. You know, my main objective is to be able to see what was used to make said item. That's it. That's my main objective um, of the tech tree. So um, everything else would be like a secondary objective. I don't. I mean, the seeing everything that I've built is a nice little add-on to this. So sure, being able to make items would be a nice added feature to it. But again, both of those aren't gonna be extremely necessary per se. Um, because at the very least, I will be able to show like if um, you know, at least for this, I have no intention of doing the crafting. That's going to be another major process that I don't necessarily want to kind of tie in with the tech tree. That's going to be a major hassle to understand where the player is. Are they nearby any place that can allow for said crafting, and then try to be able to create said crafting, right? Um, and then try to update the tech tree in real time at when said item was created, like right then and there, right? Um, so yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, that might be that might be a you know that's what you would probably call a stretch goal, something that's kind of far out into the ether that I um that would be something that I have no interest in doing at this time for this particular mod that I'm thinking about making anyway. So um I could see it potentially being something that you can do, but for right now, it's not within my vision of what I want to do for this particular mod. So, um, I could see it as a potential for an upgrade later. Um, like the next mod version allow for that, but for right now, yeah, no, I'd rather not deal with that. So, um, So really, I don't necessarily want to worry too much about creating a new tile as it is, looking at what the information about said tile or multi-tile or whatever. So, okay, to create a tile object data directly, follow the template below. Adjust values according to your desired width and height, and then make whatever adjustments are needed for your desired behavior. So use custom templates, style, width, height, coordinate, blah blah blah. Again, um, not something that I'm really interested in worrying about. Like I said, we're not going to be making, tile data from scratch. So copy from. Terraria includes several existing tile object data templates to use as a base. If one of these templates matches the desired behavior, you can use copy from to easily set up the tile object data for your tile. The names are self-explanatory usually. Existing templates include style switch, style torch, style all that. There's a lot. There's a lot there. So typically you want to start out by copying a template and modifying it as needed. For example chair.cs first does tile object data dot new tile dot copy from dot, bracket, tile object data dot style 1 by 2 and close. And then makes adjustments such as coordinate height, coordinate padding, and the values therein. So, and finally calls to add the tile, you know, basically to the collection of all the object data that are associated with Terraria. So, um, okay. Um, hmm. I wonder. I'm wondering about right at this moment in time is the add tile there. Um, Now it would be really a major undertaking to try to look at every single tile that's in that particular um, uh, you know storage, the tile object data, um, because you know most likely it's already kind of collecting all the um, all the grass, all the trees, all the you know um, every single last little object that's dropped from like slimes, um, like the gels and the torches and so on and so forth. Um, so trying to parse through that entire listing would be, just to try to find um, like, hey, I have wood, you know, um, or hey, I have this one weapon, look through the tile object data for what was used to make said object or something like that. That would probably be a little too much, I think. So, yeah, um, about 10 more minutes and then we'll switch on over to Final Fantasy VII here. So, copy from tile ID. You can copy from a specific existing tile rather than copy from one of the templates. Copying from an existing tile means copying even more specific behaviors. For example, copying from style 1 by 2 would result in a typical 1 by 2 tile, but copying from tile ID.share would result in a 1 by 1 by 2 tile that has left and right placement style. Note that when using copying from, tile style specific behaviors such as how some obsidian furniture is lava proof won't be copied. The full copy from method would additionally copy the style specific information. Modifies the width of the tiles in the coordinates. Now if you're modifying width, you'll most likely need to modify anchor bottom in the later statement as well. Yeah, because if you're modifying the width but you don't modify the anchor bottom, then what would happen if you were to kind of jump on to jump in that section, where the anchor was? Would you automatically be anchored um, in that spot? Not sure. Modifies the height of the tile on the tile coordinates. So there's 3, 2, and 1. Now if you're multiplying height, you'll most likely need to modify coordinate heights in a later statement as well. Interesting. Hmm. Kind of now curious as to these, but I mean, again, I don't foresee a need for either of these with what I'm trying to do, so modifies the part of the tile centered on mouse in tile coordinates from top right corner. Okay. Note how the cursor is placing the tile using area mark 3, which is 2 to the right. Okay. Coordinate heights. This in array defines how tall each row of the individual tiles within the tile should be. This array must be exactly the same number of elements as the value of height or errors will happen. The values don't include the padded pixels. Baseline all values should be 16 from the most case. Hmm. Here we see white pixels peeking out from behind the grass. Grass tiles don't completely cover their 16 by 16 area, leaving tiny holes. Correctly doing this will help the tile look like it's naturally there, sitting on the soil. Obviously, modders should draw the spread correctly and not with white. But that seems solid makes the tail for this. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might need to have a little bit of this information if I'm needing to worry about, um, like, taking like the piece of wood and putting it into the box for it to kind of be viewable, see the tech tree based off of that one particular item. Um, but again, I don't know if I really need to worry too much about a lot of this information that they're giving me. So, you know, I'm gonna be taking quite a bit of information from how the guide handles crafting. That's that's for damn sure. You know. Um, so question is um, what I can do from there. So unlike coordinate heights, all tiles and tiles share the same width. So this is int, not an int array. If you aren't copying a style, make sure it's set to 16. Coordinate padding. This is padding between tiles and tile spreadsheet. Add a padding of 2 pixels to right and bottom of each area in the spreadsheet. Dimension stick to do this or root artifacts will appear if you aren't copying the existing tile object data. Make sure to set it to 2. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and kind of stop it here. Sorry for kind of rambling quite a bit about, you know, what the plans are. Didn't really get very far. But, anchor data, probably not going to be needing any of that. Um, direction might be kind of necessary um, a little bit in that, um, like if I'm putting it into into that crafting box, then I might need to understand like, hey, maybe I can ignore the direction, so I don't have to worry about like, hey, if I put it this way, it will, work perfectly fine. If I put it the other way, it will, work fine for that, but it might cause problems later on down the line. I don't know. Yeah. Um, but yeah, okay. So we'll leave it at that for right now. Um, we're gonna move on to the Final Fantasy VII. Um, continue that playthrough. So stay tuned for that. If you're, just kind of here in the chat watching the content. If you're watching this later on YouTube, a like and subscribe would be fantastic. Um, would greatly help out. Check out my other playlists. All the other VOD games that I've done, or the other games that I've put pretty much just put the original VODs up. Don't really do any kind of editing, so um, um, and check out the description for various links: Discord, Patreon, Throne. Got my stream team down there if you're interested in that. Um, want to thank Kirito and Jake for stopping by and chatting with me. Appreciate it. But that's going to be it for this portion of the Terraria modding section. So thank you very much for watching. Um, appreciate it. Hopefully I catch you next time. But until then, take care. Have a good night. Stay healthy. Stay safe. And I'll catch you next time.